Hello everyone, Dr. Brian Scott with you. This is Insights to the End Times, and we are examining where we may be on God's timetable. In the book of Matthew, Jesus tells us that it's not for us to know exactly where we are on his timetable and when the end will occur. That's something the Father has retained in his own knowledge. Even the angels of heaven don't know the time, nor does Jesus, but he's waiting to leave heaven to come to the earth to make that famous statement, come up here, and all of the believers who are walking with God will be raptured and removed from the earth. And we'll get into that in more detail as we go through this year of Insight podcasts. But suffice it to say, we're looking at some of the signs of the end that Jesus spoke about in the end time chapters, Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke 17, and Luke 21. These chapters are very similar. I have always worked out of Matthew 24, and that's where we are today. In answering his the questions asked by his disciples, which we have referred to several times in this past week. Now we're into the second week of 2024. Today is Monday, January the 8th. As we have entered into this Matthew 24, Jesus was asked two questions. When will your return be? Give us some signs of that, and give us some signs of the end of the age. He begins answering, and his first answer, as we shared last week, is you'll see a lot of deception. You'll experience a lot of deception. That's where someone wants to lead you astray, take you off course, get you to wander, and listen to someone's explanations or opinion or whatever that will end up being to your detriment. He refers to deception in 4 verses even, verses 4, 5, 11, and 24. And I've found in the scriptures, whenever there is an emphasis on something, in today's society, we would bold print it on our laptops or on our computers, or we would underline it, or we would take a highlighter and we would highlight it to make it stand out. They didn't have those things. So what they did is they repeated the same points over and over again. Deception is a major, major issue. He then moves on in chapter 24, verses 6 and 7, to say that you're going to see wars and rumors of wars. You're going to see nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. You're going to see 3 other physical signs: famines, earthquakes, and pestilences. We've already looked at famines and earthquakes, and for the most part, what I shared with you in those podcasts last week is that since we in North America, I'm in southern Ontario in Canada, but since we don't have famines and since we almost never have earthquakes, then those 2 references in Matthew 24, verse 7, carry little significance for us. But that's not to say they aren't extremely important. As we studied, famines are a massive problem worldwide. About 10% of the world's population is suffering from a massive food shortage. We also have seen where earthquakes are occurring at an unprecedented rate. Thousands and thousands of earthquakes in a week, just under 7,000 in the week leading up to January 2nd. On January 1st, Japan was hit with a 7.5 Richter scale earthquake, followed by 155 subsequent earthquakes. I think it's 20,000 or so that have, it's not quite that high. That was the earthquake of 2011. 20,000 people died in Japan from that 9.0 earthquake. Today I want to look at pestilence with you. And pestilence, we could define that as a pandemic or a plague. And once again, they don't occur with a great deal of frequency in North America until we got hit with 2 pandemics or 2 plagues that have occurred in this 20th and 21st century. Now, when I did a Wikipedia search, I found that they listed the pandemics or the plagues or the pestilences that resulted in over 1 million deaths. Number 1 was a bubonic plague that occurred, and it occurred back in 1346. It was known as the Black Death, and it had over 1 million people die in it. Then the more recent situation was the Spanish flu influenza that occurred in the 1918-20 time frame, just after the First World War. But since then, we've had 2 major pandemics or plagues. The HIV/AIDS plague started in the early 1980s and has resulted in over 43 million deaths. That's something that has occurred with a great frequency in North America. And then we just have come through the COVID pandemic from 2019 through to 2023, and that has resulted in massive deaths, possibly as many as 36 million. But we've had all kinds of other pandemics or plagues or pestilences, including measles and smallpox and influenzas, etc. Now, I want to suggest to you that we've had other pestilences that have attacked our society. We don't maybe call them into this category, but what about all the unborn children that have been sacrificed through abortion, numbering in the millions? North America problem, worldwide problem. What about the new area called euthanasia, or in Canada, it's called MAID, M-A-I-D, Medical Assistance in Dying. This is really euthanasia. And in Canada, it is a real problem. I say that it's a real problem in this respect. They keep expanding the qualifications for it. It used to be terminally ill individuals. Now it's getting wider and wider. And we have suffered as many as 45,000 MAID deaths since the program began in 2016. Where's it going to end up? Is this a pestilence? Maybe it's not considered a pestilence, but I want to suggest to you that a pestilence, a pandemic, and a plague results in people dying. And these additional areas are things that have not always occurred, but they're occurring now. Let me close this session with a statement I pulled out of a 2021 report. It's called The Dangerous New Pestilences Breaking Out All Over the Globe. Here's what it reads. Despite all of our advanced technology, humanity remains extremely vulnerable to outbreaks of disease, and many believe that the COVID pandemic is just the beginning. Fearsome new bugs are constantly being cooked up in labs all over the planet, and it is inevitable that there will be more accidents that result in more of these bugs being released in the future. As we have seen, a single virus can rapidly spread throughout the entire world. It's just a matter of time before a pandemic comes along that will wipe out tens of millions of people. Is that a false prophecy? I don't know. I hope not. I should say I hope so. I hope it's a false prophecy. I hope it doesn't come to pass. But what's concerning about this statement in this article, Dangerous New Pestilences Breaking Out All Over the Globe, is that they're referring to these bugs being cooked up in labs, and they're referring to them being released as accidents, in quotation marks. Jesus predicted this. He prophesied this. He indicated that this would be another sign of the end. So in addition to famines, in addition to earthquakes, we have pestilences, pandemics, and plagues. We have people who are dying, whether they want to or not, through programs that really haven't existed in the public forum before, but they are very, very prominent today. So we could go on and on about this, but suffice it to say, these are signs that Jesus brought to our attention in Matthew chapter 24, and we need to pay more attention. We didn't pay attention to the word famines or to earthquakes, but boy, the pestilence matter with COVID sure came to our attention. Tomorrow we're going to continue with the wars and rumors of wars and so on. Call you blessed.